Hello, and thank you for joining me in this video as we look at Microsoft Intune. Now, Microsoft Intune is an MDM tool, or a mobile device management tool that allows us to visualize the various devices that we may simply have within an environment and how we can manage these devices effectively. Now, from Microsoft 365 Admin Center, if we just scroll all the way down and come to the Admin Center section, you would notice that we have Microsoft Intune. Now, we can access it from here, or we could simply go and access intune.microsoft, and we should be able to gain access to that. Now, within the Intune area, we have different areas. For example, we have the dashboard, which simply helps us to visualize different types of devices, as well as the operating systems on which they are running. We can go to devices themselves, or even look at applications. This is actually focused on and referred to as mobile application management, which allows us to visualize the different applications that we actually access from the cloud and how those applications actually interface with the different resources that we have. And from there, we have endpoint security, which we can configure for the various endpoint devices that we have, agents, reports, users, and. It's actually an entire ecosystem that allows us to do quite a lot of work as far as mobile device management is concerned. Now, from here, if we go to devices, you would notice that we have quite a lot of resources in here. We have devices by platform, whether they be Windows devices, Apple devices, and you can see that we have both Apple mobile devices and macOS. We have Android devices, Linux devices. So any other device that we have in here could easily be visualized. We can actually enumerate those devices by saying how many under Windows, how many are under Apple, how many are under Android, etc., etc. Now, the most important part that I want us to look at today focuses on device enrollment. And for this particular video, we're going to look at how we can actually enroll an Apple device. So you can see once we click on enrollment, we have Windows, Apple, Android, corporate devices, and device enrollment managers, and we have monitor over there. Now, here's an important thing that I simply want to raise. You may have heard of BYOD. Now, BYOD simply stands for bring your own device. All right, BYOD. You might have heard about this. Oops, sorry about that. Let's just quickly get our pencil back in place. There we go. All right. So BYOD stands for bring your own device. And what this does is that it's simply a framework or a policy in which an organization says, you know what, you already have the device that you need to access your emails, your Teams, and other resources that we use. So we are going to permit you to bring that device to work. And when you do, we simply want to be able to have various policies that allow us to partially manage that device. Instead of us taking over the device entirely, we simply want to be able to visualize the name of the device. Okay. We also want to know what operating system is on that device. This allows us to tell, apart from the type of operating system, the version of the operating system. And by being able to tell what the version is, we then can deduce whether that version is up to date or not. And if it's not up to date, then we will require you to keep the version up to date so that the device itself is not vulnerable. So these are various types of policies that the organization could simply put in place, not because they simply want to, but also because they could be required by compliance requirements, such as GDPR, for example, or the California data privacy laws, or any other policy that actually enforces security requirements for various devices or infrastructure within an organization that is accessing critical data. So this becomes part of that. Now, if you have BYOD within your environment, that simply means your organization partially has access to the data, so that in the event that the device is lost, the organization can go ahead and wipe the corporate data that is on that particular device. Alternatively, organizations could simply say, okay, we've got the budget and we are handling very sensitive data, such as maybe personal identifiable information, or maybe you've got medical details, or maybe it's financial information. So this could actually vary out there. And they would say, instead of you using your personal device to access our data, we're going to purchase the device for you. And this is the device that you would use to access the various resources that actually are contained or owned by our organization. And this would actually be a corporate managed device, all right? Corporate managed device over there. Now let's look at the BYOD aspect of it and see how best we can actually manage the resources that we have within our organization using our own personal devices. So over here, what we'd simply do is we'll go to Apple, and from Apple, we simply want to specify that, hey, this is going to be an enrollment for an Apple device. So the first step in that procedure, or process rather, is for us to go ahead and make use of an Apple MDM Push Certificate. Now, what in the world is that? Well, an MDM certificate is actually what allows your device to be able to communicate with the Intune platform and be able to have that correlation and sharing of data, not really your personal data such as your videos and your pictures, but information about the system itself, whether it's running an up-to-date operating system, whether it is compliant with the various requirements that we have within our organization. So that's what we want to do over here. And the first thing in that process is to make sure that we are agreeing to that. Okay, let's just quickly go ahead and download the certificate itself. You can see number 2, download your CSR. So go ahead and download it. And once we have it over here, we simply have to make sure that it's in one area where we can easily identify it because we will need it as we go forward. So once it's downloaded, then we'll go ahead and now create our Apple MDM Push Certificate. We'll click over there, and this takes us to the Apple Identity website where we have to make sure that we sign in with our Apple credentials. Now, this could be your corporate credentials, of course. And with that in place, we simply have to provide everything that is required in order for us to access this area. Once we have done so, we'll be prompted using a one-time PIN to verify that we truly have access to this portal. Okay, in our case, yes, we do. And then we'll simply type in that particular code sent to us by Apple. And once that has been verified, we'll now have access to the Apple Identity portal. In here, we'll be able to see any other MDM push certificates which were created in the past, and whether we simply want to renew those, and if any of those have to be revoked, we can go ahead and revoke those. But if our intention rather is to go ahead and create a new one, then we'll go ahead and click on create a new certificate. And from here, we'll be able to begin the process of creating our new certificate, go through the license, and then we agree to that. Once we've agreed to that, we'll go ahead and click on accept. Now, this allows us to begin the process for actually going ahead and pull that downloaded certificate, remember, and then bring it into the portal. So over here, I'll simply go and pick up that file, and from there, I'll click on upload. So the process itself isn't complicated at all. And once it's in here, notice that it's been confirmed. I'll simply go and download it for my records. And once we have that in place, notice that this is the MDM Microsoft Corporation Certificate. We simply have to go back to the portal, the Intune portal, and we'll come back to this area and upload it. So first of all, we download it. And once we've downloaded it, then we can go ahead and sign into our identity, our Apple Identity portal. Once we have it, we can come back here and upload that MDM certificate. So the process is very straightforward. Once we have it here, I'll go ahead and click on upload. So let's go ahead and upload that, and it should be done. There we go. The upload is complete. So we now can go and do the second part. But before we can actually go ahead and do that, you can see that this particular certificate is valid for a year. We can see when to expire and other details that could actually be important for the various managers who manage devices in this particular portal. Now, at this point, all we have to do is to ask the user whose device we intend to onboard to install Intune and key in their credentials. So I'll go to my device and proceed to key in my credentials, and thereafter I'll be able to see that device load in this portal. Okay, so here we are on our device. Let's go ahead and look for applications so that we can actually go ahead and download Intune. So go to search over there and look for Microsoft Intune. So there goes Intune Company Portal. This is what we need over here. So just go ahead and download that. And once it downloads, all we've got to do is to open it up like so, and then we can go ahead and key in our passcode over there. And with our passcode in place, we'll go ahead and add an additional account. So this could be a new account, let's say. So our account in this case is going to be admin. And then we'll go ahead and key in our password. And then we'll sign in. Okay, and once we've signed in, we simply have to go ahead and begin the process of installing that. So just click on begin over there, And then we have a few areas that we simply want to verify. Do we want the organization to view our browsing history, see personal emails and documents, contacts and calendar, access password, and so on? Now you would see that by default, that is set to can't. But if we really wanted the organization to go ahead and see that information, we can actually go and click on can, and that will be permitted. But just be careful that you do not select can when your intention is really to not give access to your organization, as is the default over here. So let's go ahead and click on continue, and it will proceed and do the review of privacy information, and then we'll continue to do the downloading of the management profile, install the management profile, and then checking device settings, and we should be good the moment this is complete. So over there, it's going through the downloading process. Okay, that shouldn't take long at all. And then we go continue to company portal. Yes, we would like to. We'll click on continue for the installation to begin. Now, sometimes this might actually require you to go to your settings area and check under VPN and device management to do the installation. That's if it doesn't trigger that automatically. So from here, I can simply go to my settings and access that area so that I can actually begin that process. So I'm looking for VPN and device management. Now you'd notice that over here, I'm not really having much apart from the bottom section, which says management profile. And that's what I'm after. So I'll go ahead and click on that, and then I'll click on install. Again, it might require me to key in my passcode over there, click on install. If we go back to the company portal, it should actually begin the process of this installation. Yes, I trust that. Let's go ahead and install. It shouldn't be complicated at all. And here we have that installation profile section. I'll again just click on that and then proceed with that installation. Like I said, this must not take too long, between a couple minutes or 3, and we should actually be able to complete this process. And the administrator on the other side must actually see this device onboarding to our portal. So click on continue over there. And then it says checking device settings. For now, I'll just go ahead and move this part within the portal so that if any device is enrolled, I can easily visualize it from here. Okay, at the moment, there's nothing in here. So I'll just wait and see if that is done. Yes, on my part, this is done. So one device is enrolled. How about in the portal section? Let's just wait for a few seconds and see if that completes. And there we go. So here we can see the device name, that's cloud, and we can see that this is managed by Intune. This is actually a personal device. It's not a corporate device, meaning we only have partial access to this device, and we can only wipe off data that pertains to our organization. So we can see the device is compliant, we can see the OS, we can see the version of the OS, and we can see the primary email that is used to actually sign into this device. And this is the kind of information that you'll be able to actually access as you manage various devices within Intune. And you can go ahead and remove devices, like retiring them. You can go ahead and wipe the data. That's corporate data, not their personal data, but corporate data on the device. You can delete the device or even remote lock the device. This is an interesting feature. Look here. So if we went ahead and opened Intune from here, okay, there is no Intune. And by the way, at the bottom left-hand side, you can see applications over here. Now, if you're looking on the screen, if we went and clicked on remote lock, we actually would trigger the locking of this device on the left-hand side. Look at that. So let's say you're working on this device and then you're moving from one tab to the next, and all of a sudden, there we go. The device has been locked. So these are some of the things that we can actually leverage within Microsoft Intune to just make sure that each and every resource that we have is managed as long as these devices are being used. We can synchronize the device if we suspect the device is not connecting, or we still have maybe some kind of ticket where a user is complaining about connectivity, or we can even remove the passcode. So these are things that we can actually do to simply easily manage devices wherever they could be, as long as those devices carry part of our corporate data. Well, that is it for now. I'll see you in the next one.